Have you been thinking about making the move to Phoenix, Arizona, and you're really thinking, when shall I move? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go over some things you definitely need to consider when picking your timeline, some pros and cons of it, and how possibly moving this year would save you anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000. Yes, I'm not being exaggerant. That is a genuine number. So if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, I'm going to be talking about a few different timelines and the pros and cons of moving those around or not moving those around, or how to decide when to move. And it might be one of those questions you're asking like, well, I'll just move when it's appropriate to move kind of situation. But honestly, there's some major things and key points on how to save you money when making these moves and also limit the amount of stress that you're gonna have. So I'm gonna talk about the first timeline being your lease is up in X month. So for example, we'll use October being your lease is up month. Please, please, please make sure you're starting to do your research prior to a month or 2 months, even before you have to move. And the reason why I say that is typically it's gonna take anywhere between, I guess, depending on how, I don't wanna say picky, but picky you are as a buyer and how specific your needs are, when you'll be able to actually find a home. So we'll say from the moment you first talk to me and we get you pre-approved, that's probably gonna take anywhere between 48 hours to a week, just dependent on how busy you are and how quickly you want to get that process done. Then after that, we're going to make sure that you are looking at homes, right? So that's the next step. That process can take anywhere between, I mean, I've had people find their house on the first house. I've had people, wait a month to find their house. It all depends on how busy your schedule is and kind of when you're available to go see homes. I would say on average, people are finding their home within 2 to 3 weeks with me. The next step is going to be actually closing. So the closing process is not as simple as it might seem to you if you've bought or sold a home in the past. Not every single transaction is going to go that exact way. So we'll say on average, homes take about 30 to 60 days to close. But in that first week of being under contract, a lot can go wrong, right? So let's say you find the house of your dreams, we go under contract, you're in your inspection period, and during that inspection period, you find out the home is gonna crumble away and it has black mold and it has this and it has that, and you are just not wanting to take on that project, understandably, right? So now we have to cancel that house and now we have to go back into our 2 to 3 week of looking for homes and trying to find that one. Then you have another 10-day, and now all of a sudden you're way more stressed out because you have to be here by October 1st because your lease ends October 1st. Those kind of things. We don't want you guys to stress, especially when moving out of state. It's already more difficult than a typical like right down the street move. So I want to make sure that you guys have a really mapped out timeline that could help you in the long run. So we'll say whenever you're leasing and your lease is up October 1st, we'll say, you probably want to honestly start looking right around, I would say reaching out to me in the beginning of July would probably be your best bet. So we have time to sit down, go over our Zoom call. If you guys are interested in doing Zoom calls with me, my number and email are popping up. You guys can schedule those. Zoom calls are super, super important to me because we go very much in depth on location and the buying process here. So you are 1000% good to go on your plan. So I highly suggest doing that around beginning of July. So that way we have a little bit of time to kind of talk, discuss, make sure if you guys wanted to come out in person and look at any neighborhoods that you kind of have solidified, that would be great, or plan to come out. Sometimes you don't want to necessarily buy plane tickets the next day because those are expensive. So you want a little bit of time to get those scheduled as well. Now we're in, you're pre-approved, you've met with me, we've looked at, some neighborhoods in person, and now we're actually ready. You'll probably be under contract, I would hope, anywhere between beginning of August to end of August. And that way we have that September timeline. Honestly, if it was me and I was moving out of state, what I would personally do, I'm sure a lot of you guys like down below if this is you, but when I moved to Colorado, I was researching that area probably about a year before I ever actually reached out to anyone or talked to somebody about cities or anything like that. So I'm sure you guys are probably in that group too. And that's my YouTube people are always my research people. And I love that because I'm on the same boat as you guys. But doing that research in advance and at some point 4-ish months before moving, definitely reach out. If you want to reach out sooner, I say 1000% do it, because then we can even get a better plan together and we can make sure that this process is more smooth than rushing because we have to get you in a home in 2 months. The next timeline I want you to consider is people that have children who are going to be in your typical school and you do not want to transfer them out during the middle of the school year and you want them to begin in the beginning of the school year here in Arizona. So that timeline is typically we start schools here about the second Monday of August. And I know that's different between every state, so I definitely want to mention that because I know some people are not starting. Some people start in July, which is just absolutely crazy. Here in Arizona, we don't do that because it's too hot and we don't want to deal with that. So anyways, point being, that is a very common timeline that I handle with my clients. I would highly suggest, if that is your timeline, you're reaching out to me in, I would say April. Honestly, April's like the bare minimum. Granted, I've helped people find homes much sooner and it's been great and dandy, but again, we are trying to limit the amount of stress that you have. So April's a really great timeline for that, and that is just going to give us plenty of time to kind of do a little bit more research once we meet and then go into the actual shopping process, because technically you could really move anywhere between end of May, June, July, and definitely probably not August, but worst case, first week of August. I think that that is another timeline we definitely see a lot here in Arizona, and you are not gonna be the only people fighting for those homes here during the summer. I know a lot of real estate markets, depending on where you live, they're very seasonal. I can see that sometimes, like it does get a little bit less crazy, I would say, during the holidays here in Arizona. But during the summer, it's still just as busy as it always is. And that is because people want to move while their kids are out of school, so they do not have to deal with that whole situation, whether it be actually people that already live here in Arizona or people that are moving out of state. Obviously, you guys know, if you've seen my channel before, I deal with like 99% of relocation clients. So majority of my clientele is coming during that summertime to get and find the home that they're looking for and start their new journey here in Arizona. So that is something you definitely need to consider if you're trying to do that timeline. It's going to be hot, one, so keep that in mind. And then also you will have a little bit of competition, nothing that we can't handle though. Next timeline that I see very commonly is going to be, I'm relocating for work. And this one's always tough because those timelines are typically quite short. You usually don't get notice that you're going to be transferring until, I don't know, a month out, right? Maybe even shorter. I've had clients be on a much shorter timeline where they had to get an Airbnb in the meantime. So we have plans for those in place if you do have a very short timeline. But I highly suggest, if you're even thinking about requesting a transfer or you think that that is an opportunity, I highly suggest, again, reaching out about 4 to 5 months prior, just so we can kind of get a game plan together. A lot of my clients who think that they are going to move reach out to me, again, 6 months prior, before they even have anything really set in place. And I find those transactions to be the smoothest, because it is really hard when you're transferring new job, transferring kids to new school, doing this, doing that. It can be a lot. So highly suggest getting to me before that so we can make sure the process goes smoothly. Last timeline, and then I'm going to tell you guys what's going to save you $30,000 to $40,000 if you really can make it happen in the next 6 months. How I'm going to be able to help you guys save that kind of money. So last one is going to be, drumroll, selling and buying at the same time. That is another really tough timeline, and I highly suggest you start that process 5 to 6 months even before. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to help you find a listing agent in whatever state you're in, and we have to really set up that home first so we can make this process as smooth as we possibly can. There's a lot of things that go into picking a listing agent. If you have your own listing agent, that is awesome. I want you guys to use your past agents and people you've had great experiences with. But I think that there are some key factors that I can help you guys with when picking a listing listing agent and making sure that home sells for top dollar and also quicker, preferably, right? Or like within the timeline that it's supposed to be. I have had clients in the past where that process takes a lot longer than they expected, and I want to make it as smooth for you guys as possible, even if that's not necessarily my state that I'm working in. So that's one of the things we have to make sure we see what the average days on market are in your neighborhood. If the average days on market in your neighborhood are going to be 60, 90 days long, that's something we have to consider prior to actually searching for homes and picking that timeline. Because if you have to be here in, say you have 2 timelines, right? Selling, buying, and also you want your kids to start in the new school year. We have to figure out how we're going to make that timeline work for the best case scenario for you guys, and there are ways to do that, and I can help you through that process. Again, whether I'm licensed in that state or not, I'm only licensed in Arizona now, but I mean, some of the things are pretty common standards throughout anywhere, and I can communicate with the listing agent there to make sure that we have an amazing fit for you guys timeline wise, and we eliminate as much stress as we possibly can. But there's a lot that goes into buying and selling at the same time, and moving to a new state and picking, you know, most likely if you're selling and buying, you're probably doing one of the other timelines. So it can be a little bit more stressful, but again, that is why we start sooner than later and make sure that everything is wrapped up. I promise I won't bother you a million times in the meantime. I'm genuinely just here to help you guys through the process and make it as stress-free as possible when buying and selling at the same time. Something I have to bring up with you guys, because this is something I'm bringing up to all my clients, especially the ones that are looking right now. And granted, some of you guys haven't maybe picked your timeline, or you're kind of still doing that research. You don't know when to move. You don't have that necessarily like a hard date to move, and this is really for you guys, or some people that are a little bit more flexible who can move sooner than later. Here is why the next 6 months is going to, even 3 months honestly, is going to be one of the most important times, I would say, in the next probably 3 to 4 years in regards to the real estate market. So right now we are getting some crazy, crazy amazing deals. We have about 18,000 homes available on the market here in Arizona, which is what's considered a balanced market. This is also something that we go over in our Zoom calls about how to negotiate, what you can expect in regards to deals based off of your specific situation. So obviously this is a more broad situation that we're going to be talking about right now, but of course, if you do need help and you want to learn more about relocating here, my number and email are popping up. Go ahead and schedule that call like I mentioned. But in the next 3 months, we are going to be seeing interest rates slowly go down, which you say to Nicole, that's good. I want the interest rates to go down. I want the interest rates to go down too, guys. Trust me, I want my clients to be winning, especially when it comes to that monthly payment, because that is one of the hardest pills to swallow, is how much you have to pay monthly to buy a home nowadays, right? But if you can manage a higher payment for the next, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you guys when the rates are going to go down or how much the rates are going to go down, or that you can 1000% refi next year. I am not going to ever tell you guys that, because I do not want to put you in an uncomfortable situation. This scenario does not apply for people that it is strictly just not in your budget to do so. I want you guys to make the best decisions for you and your family, and I do not want anyone that works with me to be house poor by any means. So again, take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt, but in the next 3 months, rates are going to continue to go down. We are in an election year. Whether you go left or right doesn't matter to me. I'm just telling you, in an election year, the economy suddenly becomes much better, usually, hopefully. I want that to happen. But anyways, rates come down. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to now be able to afford a home where they weren't able to afford a home before. What does that mean for you guys? That means instead of getting $10, $20, $30,000 in seller concessions to buy down your rate and to do all these amazing things and make housing way more affordable for you and less money out of pocket, those things start to slowly dissipate, right? And I really think that's going to be happening here in the next 3 to 6 months. So if you're thinking about moving and you want to be able to get that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I had a client literally last week. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I share tons of client wins on there and kind of their journey on buying homes here in Arizona and the deals that they get. But point being is I had a client who literally got $42,000 in seller concessions / off the price. And it actually probably was more, but I don't have it right in front of me, so I don't want to overestimate, but genuinely that's how much it was. It was absolutely insane. And even for you guys that are, you know, wanting to maybe wait until the end of 2025, I have people that reach out to me in that scenario, right? Think about the potential money that you will be losing in regards to that, because I'm not even including equity on there. So in a year, let's say, in a general status, obviously, it depends on price point, depends on neighborhood, depends on a lot of different factors. But in a general year, you're probably going to get anywhere between 3 to 6% in equity in your home. So we'll say it's a $400,000 house, 3.5% increase in value in your neighborhood. That is going to leave about $12,000 on the table that you could have potentially got on that home. And again, this is why I love real estate, because it is one of the best investments that you could possibly make. Way better than the stock market, way better than a lot of things, especially if you plan to hold it for a little bit of a longer time, just because again, real estate's one of those things that it will always come back up. So anyways, point being, you have another $12,000 on the table. So now let's say $30,000 plus another 12K, now we're at 42, right? These things are going to go away when rates drop. I had a client during, 2021, 2022 timeline, when everyone was putting, everything on the line to buy homes when rates were super, super low. Do I think that's gonna happen again? No. But when rates were that low, I had a client put $60,000 in cash on the table and that doesn't include down payment, to even be able to get a home. And it's crazy. They weren't even the highest offer, which is just insane to me. But the whole point of that is that stuff is going to be coming back as we get lower and lower rates. You can still get a low rate right now. You could get a low rate that's probably not going to happen for another year or two. And maybe I'm just rambling at this point because I get very heated about rates, but some people still, if you have not watched my channel before, make sure you go back and watch my channel, because especially the new home ones, I just had a client get a 4.5% interest rate. You're not going to be able to find that for another year. So get it, and they got their closing costs covered. So that's at least 30K, because it costs a lot of money to buy that rate down. And then they also got their regular closing costs covered. I'm just saying, guys, there's deals, and those deals are going to go away here in the next little bit of time. So please, 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 if you've thought about moving your timeline up, or you're thinking about moving in the next 3 to 6 months, please let me know so we can get you guys all settled and have a plan together to get you the absolute best deal. If you guys have questions on that, again, number and email are popping up. I would love to help you guys, and don't forget to subscribe. I post videos every Monday at 5 p.m. and we just hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.